Welcome back to the county seat. We are with our guests, Commissioner Lyman from San Juan County, Sheriff Eldredge from San Juan County, and we have been discussing federal versus state law enforcement, the right of the county sheriff to enforce laws across all the lands in a county, and House Bill 146, which passed currently in the legislature. We were talking during the break just a little bit about oppression, and I thought you said it very well, Commissioner, about how people see oppression.
Well, I think your perspective of oppression changes depending on which end of the sniper rifle you're on. And to those who observe the action taking place, the raids that we were talking about earlier felt really heavy-handed and felt really oppressive, and you felt like you had no real rights when it came down to that.
So your thought is that the better judge of oppression is not either end of the rifle, but the guy standing off on the sidelines watching?
Well, it certainly gives a more objective view of oppression. Yeah.
There were a lot of, I feel a lot of innocent victims involved in this. You know, the citizens themselves, whether you knew of somebody that had been arrested or had family been arrested or whoever it may be, a lot of people felt victims of these raids and, of the federal government.
Were you on the force at the time?
I was working actually for the Utah Highway Patrol. And, even as another law enforcement, at the local level, you felt that a little bit. We basically had no idea that this was coming, and people would come to us with questions. What's going on, and I couldn't tell them. I didn't know. Like
black ops helicopters, and I don't know. The way it was portrayed in the paper, it sounded. It sounded like,
well, it didn't go that far to helicopters and stuff.
I'm not sure how many agents they had in town. We were talking about that before. Between 80 and 120. I've heard 150, but I think it was probably closer to the 100 federal agents, which for a small town makes a pretty big splash.
Yeah, you don't have that many motel rooms in Blanding.
No, they had to come from Moab.
Yeah. So what's the future? What do you think needs to happen? We've got to start with 146. Are there more challenges, more legislation that you think from a local level needs to take place?
I do. I believe, from a law enforcement standpoint, I'm going to continue to try and negotiate and work with the BLM, with the Forest Service, try to maintain a good relationship with them and a relationship of trust so that, anything in the future they'll come to me. And like I said before, I would really like to get into some contracts with them and have my deputies out patrolling federal lands rather than federal rangers. But I think the states have to pursue this at the federal level,
which they're doing,
to be able to make these changes, and we are doing that. So,
do you think Utah's out there all by itself?
Not at all. No, there's other states that are coming on board, and the whole tone seems to be moving in the direction of states asserting their rights, and I think it's a fantastic trend, one that we'll see more of.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the county seat, and we will look for you next week. When we will continue our discussions on all things local on the county seat. See you later.
Yamaha, Honda, Polaris, the three most competitive brands in the off-road market. Stedman's Recreation in Tooele, the most competitive dealer in the West. Stedman's puts all three competitors together under one roof. Strap yourself in because you're about to have the ultimate outdoor experience. Stedman's Recreation on Main Street in Tooele. You know the name, you know the brands. Now it's time you found out what you've been missing.
You may think it's 300 miles out here, but just remember, folks, it's only 30 miles back.